Let's now talk about functions in Python. Functions is one of the most important topics, and it is something that will make your Python programs readable and maintainable at the same time. Let's see how functions work in action. Let me create a folder called 11 underscore functions, and let's open this folder in VS Code. As you can see, this folder has been opened in VS Code. I'll now create a file, and let me first teach you about the basics of function in Python. Let us say I have a program and I want to say find out average of three numbers, and let's say I have three numbers A, B and C. Let's say the value of C is 1, and I want to create a variable called average and then print it out. Let's do it. Average is equal to, it's a very simple thing, A plus B plus C divided by 3, and I will enclose everything in brackets because I want this computation to happen first and then I want to divide it by 3. So it's basic maths. Okay, so you want A plus B plus C to happen first and not C by 3 to happen first, so I enclosed it in parentheses. Now if I run this program, it will show me the value of average, and it's pretty obvious. Okay, now let's say you have another set of numbers, and let's call those numbers A1, B1, C1. Let me call them A1, B1, C1, and let me call this average one as well. And average one is going to be A1 plus B1 plus C1 by 3. Now look at this program. This program works, and let me change the numbers also. I want to change the numbers as well. So let's change the numbers. These are different set of numbers. And now if I run this program, you'll see that the value of the first average is displayed and the value of the second average has also been displayed. Now, while this approach works for shorter programs, the thing is that we have a lot of repeated code in our programs. Now, let's say for some reason, I have to change the approach of doing the average. Again, for some reason, I know the average is A plus B plus C by 3, but let us say I need to change the approach, and I need to, instead of dividing by 3, I need to divide it by 3.0. Okay, now it will not make any difference, but again, let's say I want to change it. To make a change, I have to make the change everywhere where I've copy pasted. Each and every single instance of my copy pasted code needs to be changed. And I don't want to do all that hard work. Is there a way to change only at one place and get it reflected everywhere else? Well, there is one, and that is why functions are used in Python. Let's see how writing these programs as functional approach could help us. Now, this is a very easy line. Average is equal to A plus B plus C by 3 and print average. This is very simple piece of code, but sometimes we have very complex computations. This is a computation which is taking only 2 lines of code, but sometimes we have computations which takes say 20 lines of code or maybe 50 to 60 lines of code. And in that case, repeating those 50 lines of code 10 times will result in a program with 500 lines of code. Do we want that? No, we don't want longer programs. We don't like that because we as humans can maintain code easily with lesser lines. So instead of doing all this, we can write a function. We can say, okay, let's write a function, and let me comment this out so that you can make a comparison. I'll comment this out and I'll say, let's create a function called average. Now, in order to create a function in Python, we use def keyword. Any function in Python starts with a def keyword. I'll say def, and then I'll write the name of the function. This is named by me, and it should be as per the variable rules. We have already covered variable rules in our previous videos, and we saw there that a variable cannot contain a special character. The name of the variable cannot contain a special character. It should not start with a number. It can contain underscore, but no other special character is allowed. It can start with an underscore, but it cannot contain dollars or brackets. Now we'll follow all those rules, and the name average is well within our rules. All right. Now we'll say, okay, average, and this parenthesis will tell what are the parameters of this function. Okay. So we say that A, B and C are received as parameters by this function. I'll tell you what that exactly means, but after I put a colon, I will enter this function. Now I can do whatever I want to do with these values A, B and C. Well, I want to do average, and I want to create a variable and I want to print it. So either I can write this in a single line of code, or I can say D is equal to A plus B plus C by 3 and print D. Okay, now let's run this program. Okay, let's run this program and see what happens. To your surprise, nothing happens. And you must be thinking, why nothing happened? Nothing happened because we did not call this function. We have just defined this function. This is called function definition. We have just defined the function, but we did not call this function. It's as good as writing print and doing nothing, or maybe as good as writing a is equal to 5. Nothing will happen. If you write a is equal to 5, b is equal to 3, nothing will happen. You'll not see the values. In this case, if you want to call this function, simply write the name of the function and pass the values. In this case, I'm passing 3, 5 and 1. And now the moment I write average 3, 5 and 1, 3, 5 and 1 will be passed to a, b and c. So a will be 3, b will be 5, c will be 1. And this function or these lines of code will be executed with these values. D is equal to a plus b plus c by 3. And in this case, 5 plus 3 is 8 plus 1 is 9. And 9 by 3 is 3, which is why 3 will be printed on the screen. Let's run this and let's see if 3.0 is printed on the screen or not. And yes, it is being printed on the screen. Awesome. So we now understood how to write functions and how functions work, but let's go back and revisit how functions are written, why do we use functions, and let's take a break and understand these thoroughly. Functions help in reusability and modularity in Python. Now I can use this average function as many times as possible and it will do the computation for me. I don't have to copy this logic again and again. I can simply say average 3, 5 and 1 or some other set of numbers and I'll get the value of the average. So they help us in reusability. We can reuse them as much as possible, and modularity. So this is how you write functions. In this case, we have passed a string and we are simply saying hello and whatever is passed. This is an F string. We already talked about it. And in this case, hello Alice is printed on the screen. So we use def keyword to define our functions. Function name should be meaningful. That is, it should follow the rules of writing variables. And we then use return to send a value back. I'll tell you what this exactly means. But for now, let's skip it and let's come back to our functions.py and write the average function for other numbers. So let's write it for 4, 2 and 1 and let's see if 2.33 is printed on the screen or not. And yes, it is being printed. And the value of this plus this plus this by 3 has been printed and computed by Python. We can run this function as many times as possible. Now let me tell you what will happen if we assign a variable and let's say we say O1 is equal to average 351, O2 is equal to average 421. And let's try to print O1. You might expect that O1 will take the value D. But no, that is not the case. And if you want the value of average to be assigned to O1, we'll follow a different approach. But let's see what will happen if I write print O1. And maybe let's write print O2 as well. And let's see what happens. In this case, Python will not print anything. And none is Python's way of saying that we don't have anything as value of average 351. And we don't have anything as value of average 421. But how do I make sure that whatever I compute here is assigned to O1? That is a problem, and sometimes that is something that we really want. You get the problem, right? I want O1 to contain the average of 3, 5 and 1. Okay, let's see how this works. If I want to take the value of D inside O1, I will return this value. So let me not print this value, but instead return this value. So I'm saying D is equal to A plus B plus C by 3.0 and then return D, which basically returns the value D, and this will now take the value of D, which is simply assigned to O1, and this time we'll see that O1 and O2 will print the values. Let's see if O1 and O2 are printing the values of average or not. And that is how we return values from a function. So first we call the function by giving them value. They take the value of all the variables, do the computation, delete those variables and return something, or they might not return anything, in which case we get a none. But most of the functions will return something, and in this case we are returning the value of average, which is D, and the value of average is returned back, and here we can assign it to O1. So basically function takes an input and it gives an output. In this case, the input is 3, 5 and 1 and output is D, which is the average of A, B and C. In this case, 3, 5 and 1. Awesome. So this is how return keyword is used. It's a reserved keyword in Python. We cannot have return as a name of the variable because it is a reserved keyword in Python, just like def, if, else. All these are reserved keywords in Python and used internally. I hope you had fun understanding all these concepts. We'll now move on to our next video and we'll understand more about function arguments and return values. See you in the next video.